So, let's move this microphone. We have an idea. Actually, to be specific, I have an idea.
It was definitely not your idea.
Okay, I approved the idea.
Which does not mean it's your idea.
That I originally had.
Nope! Definitely mine first.
Anyway, what we can all agree on is that my idea of us potentially starting another channel with more of a focus on, instead of technology, something else, because you guys have been asking, I mean, it's probably their idea more than anything else. They've been asking us for this for like years. Okay, I don't remember where we're going with this. Anyway, he wants a channel that's more oriented towards gaming, and I want a channel that focuses on like toys and collectibles and crap. So what we did is we...
Well, I also want that.
And I want a gaming channel too, I guess. Sort of. So we created 2 trailers for you guys, or what are they called?
Pilots?
Pilots. 2 pilots for you guys. One where I take a toy that I bought and I make sort of the older blog style video, and then one where you, I don't know what you did.
I played a game and I did like a short review, and it's like a budget style thing. So I found a game that's on a really good sale that is really good.
Good for you. All right, so without further ado, guys, you can watch both of those videos. We're going to have them here back to back, and then when you're done, we want you to vote for how you want us to proceed. Okay, so this thing showed up on Mass Drop. I don't know if it's technically a toy because it's actually pretty dangerous. If you were to fire the bug assault into your eye, you would not be having a good time. So first, a couple fun facts about flies. Number 1 is flies poop every 4 to 5 minutes. Number 2 is they can carry diseases as innocuous as, well, no, they're all kind of terrible, including like leprosy and stuff. So the bug assault is the fly hunting, insect hunting. I mean, they claim the thing can even kill stuff like roaches at close range. Shotgun that fires, well, salt. So let's start with what they have to say for themselves here. Something I haven't done in a very long time. Uses ordinary table salt. This I can verify. You can see I have the top loaded up with some ordinary table salt, which claims it can do about 50 shots before reloading, and you can actually monitor the levels right through that little viewfinder right there. All right, no batteries required. No, in fact, there are no batteries because the thing is powered like this. Yeah, that's right. Spring-loaded, love it. And then you go ahead and release that safety catch right there on the side in order to have it be ready to go. All right, so the trigger itself is pretty self-explanatory once you get that going. If you don't release the safety catch, it simply will not fire. So I personally wouldn't mind having a faster refire rate, but I understand why they did this because the salt comes out at a rate that is fast enough to kill a fly at about 3 feet or so, they claim. So, you know, shooting your hand with it, you can see that actually left a scratched up white mark on my hand. Like, it actually quite hurts. If you were to accidentally discharge this thing into your eye or your mouth or whatever else, you might not go Kurt Cobain on it, but it wouldn't be comfortable, that's for sure. All right, so it has a pop-up sight indicator. Does not splatter the fly. This is important because you don't want fly guts all over the place. Although one thing I noticed was here. Let's go for a walk. So I had a fly land in my wife's mixing bowl, and I was like, oh, cool! I just got this thing. I'm gonna be all like, boom, right into the mixing bowl. Unfortunately, mixing bowls are basically like a giant fly half pipe. So I hit the fly. Probably died. It wasn't flying around anywhere after that. And I don't know where it went. So it's a complete fly somewhere, and it's a good thing it wasn't pieces of fly because there was food nearby because, you know, mixing bowl and all that. So let's see if we can find some bugs to hunt, shall we? So our fly hunting expedition got cut a little short. I don't know if you can see the police cruiser and the officers behind me, but apparently for all the not looking like a gunness of this, we walked only about 3 or 4 blocks and someone called them. So there you go, guys. We're gonna have to instead go for our backup plan, which was a sacrificial victim that I caught earlier when I was testing the thing. Now, before we get to that, I do want to talk about the build quality of it a little bit. For what I paid on Mass Drop, it's actually built surprisingly well. Like, the mechanism has a good sound, and it actually feels as good as it sounds. The weight of the unit is really nice. The molded handle is quite comfortable, and then the trigger has a very satisfying, not too easy but not too difficult to pull quality to it that apparently convinced someone it's a real gun. Also, once you prime it, this little sight, here I'll just show you guys how it works. That sight pops up, and it's, I don't know, it's accurate enough to use, I'd say. So from testing it earlier, you know what, 3 feet, guys, probably not a lot of the time, particularly outside where wind's a factor, but inside your mileage may vary. But from about 1.5 feet away, yeah, I was able to get a successful kill earlier. The one in here, though, is actually alive. So here, I'll show you there's our victim fly, so you can see he's moving around in there. Little does he know. I feel like I'm like 10 right now. And honestly, it was a very awkward conversation with the cops there. That was like super awkward. Okay, so we're only gonna have one crack at this. Let's find out where he is. All right, here we go. Here goes the bug assault. About 1.5 feet away, boom. And there you have it. The fly is intact as advertised, maybe not dead yet, but certainly stunned to the point where he won't be bothering you or your mother or your sister anymore. And I guess that's all there is to really say about it. Guys, be careful with it. I think I've said don't shoot it at your eyes enough times, but even from kind of that distance, it's got a bit of a sting to it. Thanks for watching this video about the Bug Assault original salt gun. Don't forget to, whatever it is I would do as an outro for these videos. We're not really finished the concept yet. Check this out. Here's some like horrible water. Oh, safety every time. There we go. Boom. Actually, that gives you a pretty good idea of how much oomph this has to it. So I'm about 2.5 feet away right now. Boom, there you go. So it shoots. They advertise a pinch of salt. No way, you guys, it's more than that. So you will make a bit of a mess if you're firing this inside all the time. This is gonna hurt. It fires about that much salt. That is a big pinch. Maybe you got like meat fingers going on over there, right?
Welcome to the Bargain Bin, asterisk temporary name, we're not really sure yet. The game we're going to be covering today is Trine 2. It is currently available on both Steam and Humble Bundle, and I'm sure a few other stores, for about $2.99, and its predecessor, Trine 1, is available for about 99 cents, which is an incredibly good price for this game. This game is a good, solid single-player, 2-player, and 3-player co-op game where you play 3 characters, and that is actually why it is such a good co-op game, because when you're playing single-player, you play all 3 characters. When you're playing 2-player co-op, you still play all 3 characters just with 2 people, and when you're 3-player co-op, you play all 3 of those characters individually, and you can swap in between. First up is Pontius the Knight, protector of the realm and main combatant in this party of 3. He has some utility based on his throwing hammer, which he can use to smash down things in the distance or break down walls up close, and he can also utilize his shield to protect himself and the party from projectiles or anything else that might be flowing in their direction. Next up is Zoya the Thief, a personal favorite of mine. She uses a bow, arrows, and a grappling hook that makes her seem like Spider-Man to traverse the map, and her main utility is actually her movement. Later on in the game, she gets a gravity field type ability, which allows her to move even more easily along with her entire party, which is nice, and she is quite deadly in combat as well. Last up is Amadeus the Wizard. His focus is on utility, and his utility is based around creating geometrical shapes like boxes and planks, and then using those to manipulate the environment. He can create ramps for you, he can create tons of other things, and he can also use his telekinesis to move things around. So say there's something in the environment that needs to be moved, he can do that even if it's too heavy for one of the other characters, or he can move his own shapes. He's also not useless in combat though. He can put enemies in cages, rendering them fairly useless, or he can literally just pick them up and move them out of the way of the battle. While in the game Bastion, the narrator makes you feel like you're actually writing your own story. In Trine 2, it makes it feel like you are a part of a greater, larger story. And that is punctuated by the fact that each chapter load is based on literally reading the lines off of the start of a chapter in a book. Trine 2 suspends your disbelief early enough on so that when Pontius gallops over a ledge, it doesn't seem unrealistic, despite the fact that he's wearing massive full plate mail and has a massive hammer and shield and sword with him as well. It's believable and it doesn't bother you because it feels natural and expected. Easily one of my most favorite things about this game is that it's a puzzle game, but there's not one rigid solution that cannot change as a solution to the problem. There's many. You can be as crazy as you want, and I know that many times throughout this game, I am sure that we were not doing what was intended to be done to solve that problem, but that's okay. That's actually celebrated to a certain point. So when you and your friends are screwing around and the wizard makes some weird contraption of geometrical shapes and the warrior's bouncing some weird light thing off something else and the thief is swinging around like crazy, if you guys do happen to get through, then you got through, and that's awesome. It doesn't force you into this very cookie cutter way of doing things. Another thing that I really like about the puzzles in this game is that they're not all the same. You know that feeling when you're playing Skyrim when you get to your 4th claw door and you look in the bottom of the claw and you're like, okay, I get it. Or you get to any of your other puzzles in Skyrim and it's just spinning the thing to match the thing that you can see somewhere else. You're like, okay, I get it. You never really have that feeling with trying to. Everything's always different. And I have to say that about the expansion too. Now I said expansion, you might be like, there's no expansion for Trine 2. There's a DLC, but I believe it should honestly be called an expansion. The Goblin Menace is one of the best DLCs I have ever downloaded, and actually feels like you're getting an entirely new game. If this was actually titled Trine 3, I wouldn't be too surprised. I would laugh and say that's an expansion, but I wouldn't be too surprised with the modern state of the gaming industry. And DLC has a terrible name, so I'm going to call the Goblin Menace an expansion. Trine 2 has been criticized for its combat, although I question whether or not those critics have actually played through the game in its entirety, or they were just rushing through the game as fast as they could on easy. If you move the difficulty up to medium or hard, whatever is best for you, and actually play the combat as if it was difficult, it becomes much more different. When you start off the game, it starts as a hack and slash on any difficulty, but as you get a little bit further in, it becomes more complex. The enemies become more difficult, and you have more abilities. You have to utilize your characters properly, along with utilizing your abilities properly and the environment around you to actually survive. And this makes it much more fun and also massively rewarding. The combat in this game is extremely malleable. It allows you to do whatever the heck you want with it, and it actually encourages it. If you want to be super aggressive, you can run around killing everyone, or if a goblin throws a spear and hits his buddy and you back off, they might fight each other to the death. That's the kind of stuff that can happen in this game. It's very random and very open, and I love that part of it. Just like the puzzles, the combat in this game does not feel cookie cutter. From physics kills to just plain stabbing someone in the face, the combat can go from serious to hilarious in a matter of seconds, while maintaining difficulty, feeling natural, and without skipping a beat. I can only find a few cons in my entire playthrough. The first of which would be ability balance. I found late in the game with the thief, when you get the gravity arrow, things get a little wonky. If you place the arrow properly in certain areas, you can almost avoid entire puzzles, and that doesn't seem right, although I do wonder, I'm not necessarily avoiding it. This is using a mechanic to get around the puzzle. So is this just another way of solving it, like when you're playing the wizard and you increase the amount of boxes you can get? Sometimes you can stack a bunch of boxes and get around a puzzle that way. Maybe that's how it works, but I wasn't too enthralled by it. Another thing is character balance. The knight doesn't seem very useful for large portions of the game because the game isn't 100% combat focused. So in some puzzles, he just kind of sits there. But then later on in the game, you unlock certain things like throwing his hammer, which makes him a little bit more useful, but at the same time, the thief has an explosive arrow. I don't know. In the Goblin Menace expansion, he does become a lot more useful because there's more combat. Also, there's a few things that the explosive arrow don't seem to do anything to, while throwing his hammer does affect it. Another thing is that while you can play the game in co-op, playing in single player, although it is a very similar experience with the same amount of characters, is very different. In multiplayer, you have to construct contraptions and whatnot to get through different puzzles, but you have to get everyone through. In single player, you only have to get one person through because when you switch characters, you stay in the same spot. Getting one person through can sometimes be a lot easier or a lot harder than getting all three people through, and that makes it very interesting. For platform compatibility, it works on basically everything except for next-gen consoles. So it works on Linux, Mac, PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. It's $3, like I said earlier. Its predecessor, Trine 1, is about 99 cents, and I know you can get some multi-packs on Steam for about $4 or $5 so you can play with all your friends, and that's great. Thanks for watching this video. Like and dislike this video as normal. Favorite and share to help out because this is a new channel, and as always, please subscribe.
Wasn't that great? Thanks for watching, guys. So, we have a poll for you guys. It's going to be linked in the video description, and there will be 4 options, which I forget.
There's gaming channel, Toys channel, gaming and toys channel, or no channel.
Rolled into one. You know, gaming.
I like that option.
Yeah, so like one channel that's called like the ball pit.
That's not a terrible name.
Actually, it's not
That's
that bad.
really not a terrible name. We've spent so much time trying to find a name.
And we haven't come up with anything. It's probably taken.
Probably, but we could find, like, using that idea.
Yeah, we could probably come up with something. So like toys and games. Or you can just say, okay, look, you guys, I love what you do with the technology, but you're trying too hard on this other stuff and you guys just suck. And we're okay with that too.
We're okay with it. It's unfortunate.
I mean, it's not great.
But it's acceptable, I guess.
Anyway, I think we're done here, guys. Let us know what you think. Please do vote. It means a lot to us, and it will have a lot to do with the direction we go in the future in terms of bringing you guys more fun, entertaining content. And don't worry, the tech videos aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. We didn't do a, like, subscribe and whatnot thing.
Whatever.